very much. Okay. So thank you, Katia, for the invitation. So this talk is based on two papers. One paper with Thierry Daudet and Niki Kamran, and a second paper with Fabricio Macia, Cristobal Meronio, and Thierry Daudet. Let us begin by some well-known facts for the Calderon problem. Omega will be a smooth bounding domain in RD when D is greater than 2. And we consider the following boundary value problem: minus Laplacian U plus VU is equal to 0 in the domain. And we assume that U is equal to F on the boundary. We also assume that this problem has a unique solution U. And we can define the Dirichlet-Tuneman map between these two Sobolev spaces to each data F on the boundary. We associate the normal derivative of the solution U on the boundary. And the Calderon problem is to recover the potential V from the Dirichlet-Tuneman map. There is another way to see uniqueness. We can introduce the following map phi from nu. Nu is some class of real valued potential defined on the domain to the space of linear bounded operator on L2 of the boundary. And to each potential in nu, we associate the difference lambda V minus lambda naught, where lambda naught is just the DM map associated to the free Laplacian when the potential is equal to 0. And of course, uniqueness for the Calderon problem is equivalent to show that this map is 1-to-1. The problem, it is well known that the problem of the determination of the potential V from the Dirichlet-Tuneman map is very unstable. And the stability can be stated as the equation of estimating the modulus of continuity of the inverse of the map phi. And in dimension D greater than 3, Alessandrini proved that this inverse has a logarithm modulus of continuity. And this result is sharp. It was shown by Mondake in the case in the unit ball. Okay. So what are our main results? So in this talk, we consider the Calderon problem in the following setting. Omega will be the unit ball in RD in dimension D greater or equal to 2. And the class of potential nu D is the class of potential V belongs to L1 work on the ball, but far from the origin. We assume that these potentials are radial, and the finite and V has a finite norm, which is defined that you take the supremum over all the integer, you integrate the modulus of V of x time x power 2 minus d on this annular region. And we can prove that this class of potential is very large. We have that LD over 2 of the ball is a subset of nu d, and the inclusion is strict because in all dimensions, the critical potential with a quadratic singularity belongs to nu d. And in dimension greater than 3, we can prove that the weak LD over 2 space is also a subset of nu d. So for potential belonging to nu d, in general, the Dirichlet-Tuneman map is not well defined. But if it is the case, in the following, we shall consider the Cauchy data instead the Dirichlet-Tuneman map. Okay, this is the setting. And the main result of this talk, we have found a factorization, a simple factorization of the map phi. And to do this, we consider d phi naught, the Fréchet differential of phi at v is equal to 0. I recall that in the conductivity problem, Calderon has proved that this differential is 1-to-1. And in this talk, we can show that we can define the inverse of this differential to the set of all operator lambda v minus lambda naught. Or when the Dirichlet to Neumann map is not defined, we consider the Cauchy data. And this map, this inverse d phi naught minus 1, maps the difference lambda v minus lambda naught to a potential Vb, which is radial and supported on the ball. And we call this potential Vb the Born approximation of V. And moreover, this map, the inverse of d phi naught minus 1, enjoys a conditional logarithmic type stability. So you see, you start from lambda v minus lambda naught, and then you can construct the Born approximation. And then there is another map, a bijection between Vb and V. This map, phi b minus 1, is obviously nonlinear, but we shall see that this map is Holder stable. But before giving this result, let us give some word about Vb. We can prove that the function Vb is a solution of an Hausdorff moment problem, and its moments are exactly the eigenvalues of lambda v minus lambda naught. Moreover, the Born approximation Vb contains all the information to reconstruct the potential V locally from the boundary. We have an equivalence if V1b is equal to V2b in this annular region. It is equivalent to V1 is equal to V2 in the same region. This is the first, so we have uniqueness. Moreover, we can recover all the singularity of the potential V from the Born approximation because the difference V minus Vb is two derivatives more regular than V. We shall see later. We have a nice expression of the Fourier transform of the Born approximation. We can prove that the Fourier transform of Vb is given by this series, and in this series, you can see lambda kv, this is the eigenvalue of lambda v, the Dirichlet to Neumann map, minus key, and key is the eigenvalue for lambda naught. So we have a nice expression, and we have also an expression of the Fourier transform of the Born approximation using a scalar product and exponential, complex exponential, like complex geometric optics. You start from lambda v minus lambda naught times an exponential, zeta2 belongs to CD, and these terms, you take the scalar product with another exponential, and you choose zeta1 and zeta2 in CD such that they are orthogonal, and the sum zeta1 plus zeta2 is equal to minus IC. You don't take any limit in this formula. This is a real equality. So now, what about the nonlinear map? We can prove that phi b is a nonlinear bijection, and we can invert this map, and we can reconstruct V directly from the Born approximation, and we have an explicit algorithm which is Holder stable locally from the boundary. So graphically, when has this situation, you start from the lambda v minus lambda naught. We have a linear bijection, and you construct the Born approximation, this linear bijection is log stable. But once you have VB, you have another nonlinear map, but this nonlinear map is Holder stable. So the linear part of this factorization, we have factorized the map lambda V minus lambda naught to V, absorb completely the instability of this inverse problem. And moreover, this factorization implies a partial characterization for the Dirichlet to Neumann map for radial potential. There is a link between the stability and resonances. If we consider a large class of potential V belongs to nu, we shall see that, in some sense, the logarithm instability of the inverse of the Fréchet differential is due to the presence of resonances. To do that, we fix a potential V, and you consider perturbation on V. So we consider potential in some neighborhood, the suitable neighborhood of V, and we can improve the log stability estimate of the inverse of the differential, and we can obtain Holder stability estimates. And with respect to the original Schrödinger operator, H, which is equal to minus Laplacian plus V, this perturbation among the introduction of a finite number of negative eigenvalues, and also a countable set of negative resonances, and these resonances are quantified explicitly. Okay, this is our result. Now, I give some details. So, in this talk, in order to simplify the exposition, I assume that V belongs to LP with P greater than D over 2. Okay? So if 0 does not belong to the Dirichlet spectrum of minus Laplacian plus V, for each data F in H1 over 2 on the sphere, we can solve this boundary problem, and there is a unique solution U belonging to H1. Okay, thus we can define the Dirichlet to Neumann map as a bounded operator denoted lambda V from H1 over 2 of the sphere to H minus 1 over 2 of the sphere. And to each F, you associate the normal derivative of this solution U on the boundary. So this is the Dirichlet to Neumann map, which is well defined if V belongs to LP. And you see that in this equation, V is a radial potential. Okay, so we can use the separation of variables. I denote by Hk the subset of spherical harmonics of degree k in the sphere. And Yk is just an eigenfunction of the Laplace-Beltrami operator on the sphere. You take the data F is equal to Yk as a boundary data. You can use a Fourier expansion in spherical harmonics of U, and it is easy to prove that the solution U can be written as a real part, the function Bk times Yk. And the function Bk satisfies a differential equation in one dimension, this one, with the boundary condition Bk of 1 is equal to 1. Since we are working with the balls, the normal derivative coincides with the radial derivatives. So it follows that the Dirichlet to Neumann map of Yk is nothing but the derivative of Bk at 1 times Yk. In other words, Hk is an invariant subset of the Dirichlet to Neumann map. And with eigenvalue, lambda k of V is equal to the derivative of Bk but 1. In particular, if you take the potential V is equal to 0, you find that the eigenvalue for lambda naught is equal to K. Of course, for general V in UD, here I have assumed that V belongs to LP to simplify this position. The Dirichlet-Unnemann map is not always well defined, but we can prove that the above problem always possesses a unique solution, but for K large. And this motivates the following definition. For K large, you set lambda K of V is equal to the derivative of Bk, and for K small, we can take K. Of course, this definition affects the Born approximation, but not outside the origin. I recall that the Fourier transform of the Born approximation, when we modify just the first lambda K, when you inverse the Fourier transform, you find the same Born approximation plus derivative of Dirac masses at the origin. So now the Fréchet differential, it is proved in a recent paper of Barceló, Castro, Macia, and Meronio that for bounded potential V, we have this estimate. You take lambda K of V, the eigenvalue for the DN map, minus K, minus sigma K of V, and sigma K of V is the moment of V. You integrate V times X forward 2K on the ball, take an average, and this difference in the first equation is less than a constant time the square, the norm L infinity square. Okay, so if you recall, yes, no, if you recall that phi of V by definition is equal to lambda V minus lambda naught, we see with this estimate, the first estimate, that the Fréchet derivative of phi at the zero potential is just given by the d phi naught of V is equal to this moment times the identity. And by definition, the Born approximation satisfies that the differential phi naught to VB is equal to lambda V minus lambda naught. So we obtain formally that the moment of the Born approximation must be equal to lambda K V minus K. This is formal for the moment. So therefore, the Born approximation should be a function in the ball whose moments has the eigenvalue of lambda V minus lambda naught. In other words, VB should be a solution to another Hausdorff moment problem. And this formal statement has been obtained in the paper of Barceló, Castro, Macia, and Meronio. For moment problem, uniqueness in general is true, but the existence of solution is very subtle. Most sequences of real numbers are not sequences of moment of any function. And there is a complicated characterization of such sequences, which has been given by Hausdorff in 1921. So we have not this characterization, so we have to use a different approach. And this approach is due to Barry-Simon in order to define precisely the Born approximation. And as a byproduct, this gives a partial characterization of the Dirichlet-Unnemann map involving directly his eigenvalues. So how to do that? First, we make a change of variable. We set R is equal to exponential minus t, and t belongs to the half line now. So the boundary in a R variable is R is equal to 1. It changes in the t variable with t is equal to 0. We define a new potential, capital Q of t, this is exponential minus 2t times q, and you make a change of function. Vk is equal to bk times an exponential, and it is easy to see that Vk satisfies a boundary value problem on R plus given here, with Vk of 0 is equal to 1. And the class of potential nu d means that the potential Q satisfies the following estimate. The norm of Q, which is equal to the supremum of all the y of this integral, is finite. And it means that the operator minus d squared divided by dt squared plus q on the half line is in the limit point case at infinity. This is why we have defined nu like that. So I recall some basic facts for the Weil-Teichmann function. When we have a complex z with imaginary part positive, as q is in the limit case, this solution, this equation minus you derive 2 times u plus qu is equal to zu. This equation has a unique solution u of z, which belongs to L2 at infinity and up to a multiplicative constant. So we can define the so-called Weil-Teichmann function, m of z. And m of z is just the ratio between the derivative of u at 0 by the function u at 0. Okay, and for z belongs to C plus. We can prove that this function m of z is analytic in C plus and has an analytic continuation to C apart an interval minus b squared plus infinity for a large b. So if you set kappa k is equal to k plus d minus 2 over 2, we get easily that the derivative of Vk at 0 is nothing but the Weil-Teichmann function at the point minus kappa k squared. And if you invert the change of variables, r is equal to exponential t, you can write the eigenvalue of the Dirichlet-Unruh map differently, and we can prove that lambda k of v is equal to minus d minus 2 over 2 minus the Weil-Teichmann function at the point minus kappa k squared. This is very interesting because Simon has proved that the Weil-Teichmann function can be written as a Laplace transform. He proves that there exists a function a belongs to L1 log of the offline, such that m of minus kappa squared is equal to minus kappa minus the Laplace transform of a. And this function a is called the a amplitude of the potential q. And this function q has a series of interesting properties. The first property is the following. The potential q on an interval 0a is only a function of the amplitude, big A. More precisely, if q1 is equal to q2 in the interval, it is equivalent to a1 is equal to a2 on the same interval. This is the first theorem by Simon. And we have a second result proved by Simon. We can prove that the amplitude A of t is equal to the potential, the initial potential Q of t, plus another function, E of t. And this function E of t is continuous and satisfies this estimate here. And if the original potential Q is of class Cn, the function E is of class Cn plus 2 in the same interval. So with the estimate of this theorem, we see that the difference A minus Q is small, close to the origin, but in the T variable. So in the R variable, this difference is close to the boundary. And it also provides a recovery of singularity result. So this is two theorems by Simon. So now we combine all the relation between the eigenvalue of the DL map, and we have this expression, lambda kv minus k, you know, this is the Laplace transform of A. You make the change of variable R is equal to exponential minus t, and you find this expression. And you can reinterpret this expression of a moment of a certain function Vb, with Vb now is given explicitly by this formula. It is the amplitude of the amplitude A at the point minus log of x divided by E squared. So we have solved the moment problem using the result of Berry-Simon. So if you write now the relation, you return to our problem, you have V of x is related to Q, and Vb by definition is given by x power minus 2 times the amplitude. You use the first Simon result, and we get immediately that if that Vb1 is equal to Vb2, if and only if V1 is equal to V2. This is only the first result by Simon. And using the second result by Simon, we have an approximation result. You take V in UD, you define alpha R like that, and you can see that the Born approximation VB is equal to the original potential V plus a function f, which is continuous and which satisfies this estimate in variable in the R variable. Okay, and if the initial potential V is Cm, you see that the function f is Cm plus 2. So the Born approximation VB approximate V in a good region with an error that only depends on B and the size of the potential in the region. And it also implies that VB contains all the singularities of the potential V, because F is more regular. We have some explicit example to understand what happened. I present in this talk two examples for which the Born approximation VB can be computed explicitly. And it is important to see that they show that, in particular, the Born approximation can be more singular at the origin than the potential V. The first example is the following. We start for the so-called Bargmann potential in R plus. Q of t is given by this complicated term. And for this potential, in a paper of Gechtesi and Simon, the amplitude associated to this potential is given by this formula here. So if you write in terms of potential, if V of x is equal to this potential on the right here, the Born approximation of this potential V is just equal to this one. This is explicit. So we see that if mu here is greater than 1, the original potential is a continuous function on the ball. But if mu is less than 1, the Born approximation has a singularity at the origin. This is the first example. We see that the Born approximation may be more singular at the origin than the original potential V. We have a second example. The critical potential V of x is equal to Q naught over x squared, where Q naught is a real. this potential V of X corresponds to the case when Q of T, capital Q of T, is constant. And this case was studied also in the paper of Gechtesi and Simon. We have two cases. If the constant Q naught is positive, we have a nice expression for the Born approximation. It is given by this term on the right, and G1 is the Bessel function of order 1. And we can prove that the Born approximation, when x goes to 0, has this asymptotic expansion. So we see that here, in this case, the singularity at the origin for the potential VB is more or less the same as the one for V, because you can neglige the log is not very important here. This is when Q naught is positive. But when Q naught is negative, this is different, because in this case, using always the paper of Gechtesi and Simon, we see that the Born approximation is given by this expression, but there is a difference because the Bessel function of order 1 is changed into a modified Bessel function of order 1, and the asymptotic is very different at the origin. We can prove that VB of X has this type of singularity at the origin. You see that you have here x power 2 plus 2 square root of minus Q naught. So we can have here a very strong singularity for VB. Okay, now using the result of Simon, we have seen that we have solved the moment problem. So now we can use the characterization of the Hausdorff problem. It is well known, so but complicated. We introduce mu n. This is just the difference between lambda n minus n with a shift. There is a shift because we are working in white LP space. And once we have mu n, you define delta k of mu n and then lambda k of m. Lambda k of m depends only on the eigenvalue of the Dirichlet-Lindemann map. And we have a characterization for the moment. We can use the characterization by Hausdorff or Widers. This is the same. You see that automatically the eigenvalue of the Dirichlet-Lindemann map must satisfy this estimate. This is only a partial characterization because a total characterization should involve additional conditions, because not every L1 function is the amplitude of a Schrödinger operator. There is a condition which was proved by Renning. So now I give a link between the stability estimate and the resonances. So we explain two things. First, we have a first map, I recall, and we have this map. You start from lambda v minus lambda naught. You have a linear bijection, and you reconstruct VB. And this map is log stable. We will see later in a few minutes why this map is log stable. And once we have VB, the Born approximation, there is a nonlinear map, and this map is Holder stable. And I begin with this map in blue. Okay. So we can prove that this nonlinear map is locally Holder stable. Locally, because the Born approximation can be more singular at the origin. So we have an Holder estimate in the neighborhood of the boundary only, not at the origin. And we emphasize that this is not a conditional stability estimate, since only LP integrability conditions are required on the potential. In particular, we can prove the stability estimate for potential which do not lie in a compact set. This is important. We have many results. I give only one. In the L infinity setting, I consider two potential, V1 and V2 in nu. I fix B less than 1, and I assume that the L infinity norm of V1 and V2 is less than a constant KB. Then we can prove, roughly speaking, that the L1 norm of V1 minus V2 is controlled by a constant times the L1 norm of V1b minus V2b at the power 1/2. And we can calculate explicitly this constant. We have this stability. So you see that this map in blue here is Holder stable. Locally, B is less than 1 and positive. Now, the first, the linear map. We have to prove that this linear map is log stable. So we consider two potential, V and til V in UD. I set epsilon is equal to the norm of the difference of the Dirichlet-Hunnemann map. And this norm is nothing but the sup of the difference of the eigenvalues. And I recall that for K, that we have, by definition, this estimate, this equality, sorry. So the integral of VB minus til VB is the difference of lambda k of V minus lambda k of VT. And by definition, this difference at the right line is less than epsilon. So we have a moment problem here. You know the moment of the difference VB minus til VB up to an epsilon error. And it is well known in the approximation theory that for this kind of moment problem, we cannot expect better than LP stability results than logarithmic stability estimate. In other words, we cannot expect, we have only this kind of estimation. In LP norm, VB minus til VB in the LP norm is less than a constant, 1 over log 1 over epsilon power theta, where theta is some constant. It is well known, we cannot do better. But if we consider for fixed potential V, a suitable infinite dimensional perturbation, instead log stability estimate, we can obtain Holder stability estimate for the linear map. And with respect to the original Schrödinger operator minus Laplacian plus V, we shall see that this type of perturbation amounts to the introduction of a finite number of negative eigenvalues as a countable set of negative resonances, and these resonances are quantified explicitly. If these resonances are not quantified, we are not able to prove Holder stability. So, in details, we fix a potential V in UD, and we assume that the associated potential Q of T belongs to L2. So, this is the fixed potential. To this potential V, we define the Born approximation VB by the usual formula we have seen before, okay, where A is the Simon amplitude associated to capital Q. And now we perturb. We perturb like that. We perturb the amplitude A in the following form. You take A at the point minus log T, and you define till A at the same point. This is equal to A plus a series. Here, we consider all this perturbation like that. And delta is just a degree of freedom. And we assume that delta is greater or equal to 3 minus D. Okay, we consider this type of perturbation. And it is not clear that this amplitude A tilde is associated to a potential. It is not clear at all. So we have to work, and we use the result of Kilip and Simon, who give a characterization on spectral mergers for Schrödinger operator on the half-line. And we can prove the existence of L2 potential Q tilde associated to the amplitude tilde A. And we have a theorem. The theorem is the following. We assume that for all K, all the coefficients Ck are negative. And the second condition, we assume that the series has a radius of convergence R, which is greater than 1. Then we can prove that under this assumption, the function tilde A is the amplitude function associated of potential Q tilde belonging to L2. And the second condition of the theorems allows us to use a very nice result due to Steele. For this kind of perturbation, we can modify the usual logarithmic stability estimate into Holder stability estimate. So, how to finish? We assume for the moment that we have the Kilip-Simon result. We know there is a potential Q tilde associated to A tilde, and we define the potential V tilde associated to Q tilde. And then we define the associated Born approximation V tilde by this formula. And we set epsilon is the norm of the difference of the DL map. And we have the following result. For this kind of perturbation, in some sense, the L2 norms of the difference of the Born approximation, tilde VB minus VB, is less than a constant for epsilon plus another constant for epsilon at a power. And we have a Holder stability estimate. And if R is big enough, actually we have a Lipschitz estimate. So now we have to prove the Kilip-Simon result. So I recall some basic facts on the Weil-Titchmarsh theory. I recall that the Weil-Titchmarsh function m at the point minus kappa square is equal to minus kappa minus this integral here. And once you have the Weil-Titchmarsh function, you can construct the positive spectral measure d rho associated to the Schrödinger operator H. And the spectral measure is given by a limit. You consider the Weil-Titchmarsh function at the point E plus E epsilon. You take the imaginary part, and then you take the limit. And I denote by tilde m the putative W Weil-Titchmarsh function associated with amplitude tilde A. We have this expression here. And I recall that A tilde alpha minus A tilde alpha is a series by definition. A tilde is a perturbation of A up to a series. So we replace and first of all, I introduce a notation. Uk is equal to 2k plus d minus 3 plus 2t. And we see that by definition, the degree of freedom delta is greater than 3 minus d. So in d dimension d greater than 3, mu k can be negative. So you can write the perturbation theory into two sums. You write tilde A like A plus a series, the sum, a finite sum here where mu k is negative, plus a series where mu k is positive. Okay? It's very easy to see that. Then you can change here the second series, you begin to to zero, sorry, and you can rewrite this expression like that. Okay? So you have this expression, you integrate, you use the Laplace transform, and you obtain this formula for the difference of the right mismatch function. Okay, you take the limit, and you are able to define the difference between the spectral measure, d-rho tilde minus d-rho. And taking the limit, you find that d-rho tilde, the measure of d-rho tilde, you don't know for the moment that this is associated to a potential, is equal to d-rho of E minus this series when E is positive, and for E negative, d-rho tilde of E is equal to d-rho of E minus a finite sum here. And it is proved in the paper of Gechtesi and Simon that this corresponds to the introduction of a finite number of negative eigenvalues minus mu k squared over 4 and a quantified real resonance given by this formula. You see that we have resonances here which are explicitly quantified. Okay, and now we can use the result of Kiliff-Salmon. You know that d-rho tilde is equal to d-rho plus a perturbation, and we can show that using this difficult paper for me to show that there exists a potential Q tilde associated to the spectral measure d-rho tilde. And all we have done is correct now. Okay, I have only 5 minutes to give the algorithm how to construct V from VB. So you start from the eigenvalue lambda key of V as the Dirichlet-Neumann map, and you can find the Fourier transform of VB using the series at the beginning of the talk. Okay, so you have the Fourier transform. And once you have the Fourier transform of VB, you have VB. Then you have to solve this differential integral equation, which comes from the paper of Simon, with the following condition. You assume that when S is equal to 1, W of X is equal to VB of X. VB of X is known. And we can prove that V of X of S is just the Born approximation of this potential. You solve numerically this equation, and taking W1x, you can recover V of X. You have this is not obvious. This is you have to read precisely the paper of Simon to see this algorithm. Okay, so for the moment, we have not do any numerical experiment to see if this algorithm is very interesting. Okay, so I think I have finished, Katia.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Francois, for the very nice talk. Are there any questions or comments, please? Please feel free to unmute yourself. Any questions or comments, please? Any questions or comments, please? I have just very, very general question. Do you think the same analysis, I mean, one can extend the same analysis in the presence of radial magnetic potential?
That's a good question. For magnetic potential, we have not a Sturm-Liouville equation because we have you have a term of order 1 in the derivative, but maybe we can make a Liouville transform to change the Sturm-Liouville equation in the form studied here. Maybe it is possible in dimension 2, because there is no radial magnetic field in dimension greater than 3. So maybe it is possible, yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions or comments, please? Any questions or comments, please? If not, thank you very much, Francois, for the very nice talk. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Katia.